Hello. Is everything working? Nice. Everything is indeed working. YouTube should be on as well. It is. Okay. Yeah, practice with coaching session, but fine. Let me Valorant on. Let me really quickly. We'll start in a second. I'm just gonna do this, then I can redo my. Valorant site. And I'm gonna mute my Valorant. I should probably actually get like a. I can probably get some settings on my stream deck to like mute my Valorant and unmute it as well. I could probably do that instead of doing it in game every time. Okay. Also, side note, what did I just click on? Is this the battle pass? I should just realize I haven't bought the battle pass. This act. Honestly, it's kind of bad. I'll be honest. The knife isn't that bad. And this is the sheriff actually. Pretty cool. Okay. Sidetracked. Sidetracked. Okay. So we got Vyse. This is, by the way, I've got a new overlay because I think it's better. I'm gonna really quickly do this. Wait, what did I just do? There's no way that happened, right? Not that. Wait, can I have a look? Oh, it did. Oh my god. Wait, hang on. I need to fix this. I need to fix my display, my Epic Pen display, because it just messed up. I undo, no? I need to do options, hang on. Settings. How do I like... I'll reset to default. How do I... Is it this? I just screenshotting? Yeah, it is. Okay, I just messed up my Epic Pen display, which is not ideal. I don't know how I've managed to do that. Well, I didn't know how I managed to do it, but I clearly shouldn't have done it like that. Remember content when closed, hide Pro Tools. Always take screenshot of entire desktop now. How do I like I accidentally moved my. This is on my second monitor or third monitor. It's one of those two. I think I can kind of move it. Wait. How do I move it? No. I actually don't know how to move it. I can move it like half onto my other monitor. Because the way I did it by. Wait, hang on. It's not really. Can I just close display one? Let me just close display one. I'll close all the other displays. And I'll reopen Epic Pen. But I imagine not going to help me. We'll have a look. That's probably everything to do. Almost opened up Epic's Games Launcher again. Yo Zen, what server are you on? I am on EU West or EU. EMEA. Is this working? It's not. Oh, of course it's not because of my display. It's not. I can't believe I accidentally did this. There we go. That should work now. It did. Lovely. Okay. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make sure I don't select a display when I do that. There you go. I'm probably not going to have Twitch chat open on the right side. I've got Twitch chat open here, so we're fine. Okay. Okay. It's big. Oh, it's close to big. Oh my god, my ears. A Discord message. Okay. We're on round 6, which, you know, it's not ideal to start at, I'll be honest, for these. Okay, can you smurf on my account just for fun? No, I cannot. I cannot. That is account sharing. And I will not partake. Round 6, not ideal to start on, as I already said, for a coaching session, because I'd miss out on a lot of this context of the game. No way, it's not 6 yet. It's a bit unfortunate. Maybe it didn't like save or something. Maybe clearly we were tabbed out here, so maybe I don't know. Maybe you could off. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It happens. It happens. Let me reset. Okay, so what do we buy? It's an eco probably. We have 150 money. You can't see that, but that's fine. We have a 350. 2 minutes of ecoing, fine. We can hero rifle. I'm okay with the hero rifle here. On 2-4. I think honestly, well, Pretty good to buy a hero rifle. Oh, overall in ranked, hero rifles are fine. If you want to buy a hero rifle, you can go for it sometimes. Depends on the game. If it's like super not in, like if you're like losing, usually better to go for like a hero rifle, because it's a bit more risky to do that economy wise. But yeah, 2 and 4 is probably like maybe it's too much of a risk, but you can do it. Statistically, it's like pretty good to go hero rifle. 110. I think overall the peak just a bit unregimented, really. We don't really swing this properly either. Do we have any info here? We don't, do we? No, we don't really have any info agents in general. We've got 3 duelists and Clove. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be nitpicky because we're like Ascendant 1, the Mortal 1, whatever. So, Crosshair needs to be better here. Our movement's not exactly the best either. Which I'll go over on this angle in a second. We don't necessarily skip anything though, I guess. And right here, I think I understand you're about to pre-aim this angle over here, like next to the box, right? This angle. But I would probably be tracking the corner because this is actually a pretty common off angle for people that want to like peek this. So they're going to be sitting here. It's pretty common. So I would just track this corner around, right? Just track it like yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean. Instead of like pre-aiming the next corner, I would pre-aim it once I've like covered like this position. Once I've like fully tracked up to this position around this corner, right here, right here, I'll probably switch to like pre-aiming this corner. And the pre-aim is fine. I think the thing that lets you down on this pre-aim though is the movement.
Sky secret.
I know it's fun. It's fun. It's fine. I think the only thing is I think I'll go a bit wider. But I'm not sure if that's necessarily like a guarantee. You need to go a bit wider. I'll probably go a bit wider just because we're Sheriff as well. It makes more sense to go wide against this just to get more movement. Because we were a pistol, you know, we can afford to do more movement as a pistol. That's it. That's fine. I'll look at teammates. Doesn't matter. It's kind of unfortunate that you've got such a horrible comp, but it's okay. When do you want to track and when do you want to slice the pie? Well, the thing is that they're kind of like two of the same thing. Slicing the pie is when there's very little chance that there's going to be an off angle. And sometimes even then you'll get it wrong, right? And when you want to do this is when you know that an off angle is likely. So when you're going to track the angles, usually when off angle is likely. So slicing the pie as well is also very good when you have information or previous information of the area as well. Because then it's less likely they're in those off angles too. But then, because we have no info here, it makes so much more sense to track every single angle. Because off angles not only are likely in this area, but they're also, we have no info. So it makes sense that someone could also be in those off angles. But yeah, they're kind of like interchangeable, I guess, in like a lot of situations. But usually track it, if you watch pro players play, they're usually in high pressure situations, they'll slice the pie. Like in like post-plant, like late round situations where people can like be in like fairly set positions, they'll slice the pie a lot more. But when you like look at them like clearing angles, like the mid round or the start of the round, they're actually tracking a lot more angles because they have less info, basically. That's basically what happens. It's usually fairly interchangeable. It just depends on what you think is good for the specific situation, basically. And as you mentioned, the way you like identify those specific situations are based on like info and what you predict people are going to do. So yeah. For this next round, we place the wall. The wall is fine. The wall's fine. It's Vyse. It's like the normal wall. The only time you don't place this wall, obviously when you go B. But you can also do it when you go B. You have to play mid. So I'm interested to see what that looks like at some point. Are we just unlucky? We are indeed. Wait, what happened here? Wait, how did she get there? Why can't we see to the left of the smoke? Did no one ever check it? Wait, how did she walk out? Wait, I'm confused. I'm literally watching it back and I'm confused. Did she just run out? Just super unlucky. Yeah, she did. She crossed at the same time as Jet crossing the smoke. Ah, you just got so unlucky. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think you necessarily did. The only thing, maybe is that you don't need to be here, like positionally, like because there's not really any reason that you need to be watching this because Clove has smoked these two things, and obviously It's not great that she didn't smoke this, but you don't really need to watch it because she's probably... Oh, sorry, they're going to just run this way. They're not going to really fight this, and if they do fight it, they're fighting it towards main, where you're going to be. I got mentally mad. It's fine, it's fine. Yeah, you got a bit unlucky, to be honest, overall there. But I think the positioning-wise, we don't need to be here. I think you just need to play main, because no one else is playing main. It makes sense for you to play main. You're playing the Sentinel. In fact, to be honest, in rounds like these, when it's like 4v5, and we're getting the bomb down with like no resistance, I'm going to be sending it back for a light flank, usually. Or something like that. Is usually what I like to do on these types of rounds. It depends on who I'm playing and like the situation of the game, but I like looking for light flanks in this, or I like going aggressive in this situation. But as Vyse, it's kind of hard to go aggressive unless you have flash, which I don't think you did have. Did you? I did in 5. So yeah, maybe you do go main still. Yeah, I think you should just be sitting main there. That's the way you avoid this death. But at the same time, it's a kind of a bit lucky, but it's like a 0% chance if you're main. Oh, wait. Oh, close.
Bring that to you.
I mean, that's kind of good. Phoenix should like, okay, I was gonna say there's no way you lost it. The plant is bad to art. Wait, but the plant is bad to art in this situation though. Yeah, it is. That's true. Yeah, I think the light flank could be good though still, because you're playing Vyse, right? So you can just, because you're playing Vyse. One of the greatest things about Vyse is that this molly is like an anti-peak molly. It's like the opposite of a normal molly, right? It keeps people in position, not out of position, right? So if you molly this, I mean, it's both ways. Both mollies are good, to be fair, in the situation. I'm about to say, if you have a normal molly and your art, right, they just swing you after the molly. But with Vyse, if you molly them and run at them, they have to just either hold or just stick the defuse and hope for the best. So, and it depending on timing, I guess. But if you come from that way, it's not that big of a problem as long as you have one of these up, usually. Especially if you have flash up as well, you can flash them. That kind of stuff. I don't think it's that big of a problem most of the time. Especially as well, because realistically, you can probably be fast, because if you look at it by numbers, I've also kept my lines up the entire time. But if you look at it just by numbers, right, we're 4v5, it's unrealistic. Well, it's not unrealistic, but it's unlikely, I think, at least more unlikely than if they were 5v5, that someone is going to be slowly going through this sort of area, right? It's going to be less likely, because they're in the advantageous position. So you can afford to maybe be a bit faster on the rotation away and the rotation like towards mid, and then you can start walking around this position probably, and then you'll actually get there quite fast. So that's the only thing I think. And with the mollies, yeah, as I mentioned, I think it's pretty good still, because you can like keep them in the plant position or like in the diffuse position. So while they could technically diffuse in that time, they are like dead to rights by pre-fire. So yeah. The next is B wall here. I think so far, I mean, it's only been 3 rounds. We'll have to see. That doesn't mean that much in terms of like lurking or map control. I'm yet to see, but we might see it. I don't know. May have seen it in the 6 rounds previous, but I don't know. Yeah, so this is like the problem, right? Usually in ranked, the best formation in most ranked games is 4-1. 4-1 is like the golden number of ranked formations. And usually as a Sentinel, you're going to be the 1. Because maybe smokes do it as well. Depending on the smokes. The Brim, you won't do it as much. Clove, you won't do it as much. But Omen, Astra, those types of agents, they're going to be very much like wanting to be the 1 in some cases. And I think that you need to be the 1. And very importantly as well, I mean, I'll go over it if we actually do lurk, or if we don't lurk and it goes over to defense. I'll go over like what I will probably be doing in a lot of my Vyse games, a lot of my Vyse rounds on Pearl. I don't play Vyse a huge amount on Pearl. I have played it. I usually opt into Cypher more on this map, but Vyse is still good as well. And so you're plenty capable of doing map wide plays, because you have like no range on the like no maximum range on your wall. So you're like pretty capable of like doing really good map plays, like map wide plays. Ooh. Right, she was so confused. How did you get this confused? Yeah, I think you're fine. Yeah, you're fine. Let me look at this fire again. Yeah, we might be shooting a bit too early here. Try to make sure that when you shoot, you're like your crosses on their head, but I'm pretty sure you've heard that a billion times. I play both Cypher and Vyse on Pearl, yeah, fair enough. I think both are good. Both are good. I usually prefer the Cypher, but I think it's just more or less personal preference, especially in solo queue or duo queue. It's always going to be personal preference what you play. To an extent, anyway. If you're actually looking to climb seriously, though, you just pick anything that's self-sufficient, and you're good. Pick self-sufficient things, and you're all good. And Vyse is one of them. Vyse and Cypher are both self-sufficient, so it doesn't matter. In the same role. Yeah, the flash is fine. The flash is good because there's not really much you can do in terms of information for this team, right? You're like the only person that actually has any sort of information that's non-committal, aside from maybe some ults like Yoru ult and Phoenix ult. So like it's unfortunately sometimes you might actually just have to play with your team, even though kind of plays against the map control because you don't have no one else has ways to get info aside from you. So it's can be a bit unfortunate, I guess. But even then, your info isn't that important. It's like a sky flash, so it's like good for corners, bad for executes. Flash is good for executes though, so it's fine. But the actual information you're going to get is going to be not great in the execute. Flash isn't skilled, but that's fine. You probably get a kill. You probably actually get the kill on Fade because Fade. I'm not sure it was maybe Fade was the one that shot it. Probably not. If you added pressure though, winnable, winnable. A good trade. I like they didn't commit the first time, and then you committed at the start sorry, at the end, like the second spray when you actually tagged there. Oh. Okay. Unlucky. I'm trying to think what you can do in this situation. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, I think. Mechanicals there, I think. Do we actually go away from our team this time? No, we have 2 people mid. I mean, we have... What even happened? 2 people mid. That... No trade? No trade. I said no trade. I meant to say trade afterwards, but... Yeah, this is going good. This is going good. You're actually playing like away from your team as well. You have your anti-flank on A, or A. Ult is good. It's fine. Trap is good. We're chilling. Don't think you need to fight here, but oh. To be honest, I think Clove might be, in my opinion, like for smokes, right? I actually think Flowers is probably the worst smoke at the 3. At least, well, you kind of need this one for crossing here. So out of the 3, like out of these 3 for this like split, this one's probably the worst one. Kind of unlucky, but it is what it is. The reason why it's the worst one is because majority of the time, like this angle is very avoidable overall. But these angles, I mean, these angles are too, kind of, but not really, because they allow like people to like flood in a lot easier than these angles do. Because whenever this person is Flowers, right, think about how long it takes for an unsmoked Flowers player, my god, sorry, an unsmoked Flowers player to get through this area, because they're constantly worried about main. They're going to be looking at main a lot, especially if it's not smoked. They're going to be looking at main a ton. When this player isn't as much, they can like kind of avoid it by like pathing this way and things like this. They can't really do that. So this is kind of the worst smoke in that for that reason, in my opinion, at least. But yeah, I know you're not playing smokes, but I just thought I'd mention it because it generates so many horrible fights. This side. Okay. It also depends as well. Obviously, there's an operator. It's usually better to smoke Flowers. Because usually that's more favourable angle for them. I think as well, yeah, if I say you don't really need to take this fight, and you can just play main again, I think it's one of those options, but yeah. I mean, you were there for the trade, or potential trade. But I also don't know what Phoenix is doing. Bro's kind of sending it by jumping and reloading like that. Is what it is. Ooh. Yeah, I think once again, I think there you just play main. I think positionally. I just don't think you need to go out and fight that angle very often. It's not usually a very good angle to fight. We do the flash again. Yeah. We have one less Vine, that's fine. And this is like the last round and a half, so.
Dogger.
We're going a bit far here. Oh, I understand we're trying to get a gun though.
Dogger.
Yeah, once again, I think I just prefer you to be main, even with the Guardian. I think. Did Jet did Sage have a gun? What gun was that? That was a Vandal. You just put the Vandal right up next to you, and then go main. I think you definitely should go main again. It's my low rank friend. Oh, okay, all good.
I'm bringing the 2v2 my side.
Yeah, that's fine. I think you were very tunnel visioned here. I think, like, once again, I would say you should play main, but I think here, if your teammate's fighting, you either there's two ways that this can be played. Is either this player should play passive, which is probably the play. Clove should probably play passive, and then you can hold this angle, right? You can hold like a deeper angle here. So then when they contact over, like in this position over here, like just behind the shed, like where the broken wall is, that's when you contact, and then they can swing off that contact. That's how that should probably go. But in the situation where this person's being aggressive, it's usually that you can also swing this as well from this position. So I would just be swinging, not flashing. Just because he's trying to read what my teammate is aiming to do. And then in this situation, you're given even more time, right? Because the flash, the person's reloading. I'm going to be walking up to here and not sparing this. I'm going to be walking up to here, so when my teammate contacts, I swing again. Or I can swing. But then I do like at the end that when this happens, you kind of like know you're going to use the clove to like trade and get the kill. So okay, we've got defense. So yeah, okay, I didn't really see it as much on. So this is like something I just mentioned at the start of the game. With I didn't really see us use Vyse for map control very much as a sentinel, and as we mentioned, 4-1 tends to be the best formation for like attacking or defending realistically on, well, not always defending, but or solo queue, because 4-1 is easier to play than 1-3-1, and you don't give up everything on the map to then go and attack somewhere. And in this case, you are providing something unique to your teammates attacking, to be fair, because no one has really like any real information gathering aside from you, and you only have the flash, which isn't that much anyway, to be fair. So it kind of makes sense you're with your team, but in a lot of other ways it doesn't. So for me, like when I'm playing Vyse like this, or Cypher or something like that, I'm going to place more like wall. Especially this is more important for Vyse because Cypher can trip both anyway. But with Vyse, you can just wall over here on B and then play mid. And there's going to be situations and times where you like can take some timings in B and people are going to flank your teammates. You just have to make sure that you're aware of those timings and tell your teammates. But yeah, for the most part, I would just be playing 4-1. Because like I said, right, it gives you a lot of map control, and you can find these like tricky angles to go into. You can find situations where your teammates are stuck going out, like they're stuck looking at smokes because of the retaliation on A was too much. Then you give your teammates more of an out to like get out of A site and then go into B site, right? Because if they start rotating as well, you can catch a rotation. You can even catch this player rotating to A or something, or a pivotal player rotating to A, or vice versa, right? If they've heard them rotate, then they will rotate this way, and then you can catch one off guard as well. If they're stuck here as well, then you can potentially get like a kill on someone kind of with their pants down, not really paying attention in the midsection of the map or something as well. So you can open up your team to be, you can open up your team to like make easier plays across the map, and just generally just save your team, buy your team out of 5-manning places in main. I think a lot of people, especially in low elos, have this problem where they feel like they have to go with their team the entire time. Especially like I've seen Sentinels do it a lot, and realistically as well, you don't really need to be, you just don't need to be clumped with the team the whole time, because realistically, right, if they're struggling to get into the site as 4 players, then you as a 5th player probably aren't tipping the scales that much anyway. So you might as well have the like a pivotal 1v1 in the midsection of the map or B site than like die with your teammates in the blender on A as well. So There was also something else I wanted to talk about as well, which is like along these kind of lines. You may even know or not, because I haven't seen you actually do it. I don't know. It's okay to be like aggressive in these situations as well. Like when you're the one, you can find aggressive situations, like really fast timings as well. It just depends on like what your teammates are doing, and what the enemy team is doing. But yeah, I do talk about lurking in a lot of other places, a lot of the videos, guides, and that kind of stuff. So I just kind of skipped a defense run. But yeah, I'm not sure if I did really did a great comprehensive like explanation there of like how you should probably lurk, and because there's obviously going to be tons of situations that I can't like go over every single one. So it makes sense that you could just like you should just try and play away from your team a bit more as like a 4-1, and try and just experiment like what situations or you do what and that kind of stuff, right? Especially for like specific agents, like Vyse is going to be different to Cypher a tiny bit. With Cypher having cages, it's easier for him to get into some interesting situations. So some maps I lurk a lot and some not so much. Yeah, okay. It could just be, it might just be that in that case then, it might just be that you're not as familiar with a map, or like you're not as familiar with where enemies play on a map. That makes sense? So then maybe you might be more familiar, for instance, like something like Lotus, right? You might be more familiar that like there's going to play one player C, the Sentinel's going to be C, and they're going to play aggressive A and that kind of stuff, right? You might be more understanding of that sort of premise and that it happens a lot. So then you're more comfortable to lurk on a map like Lotus, for instance. Obviously, I don't know, but that's just an example. And therefore, on Pearl, like maybe you don't really have that understanding as much of what the enemy team want to do. So then you're not as clued in as like how you actually want to lurk. So it might be worth looking into like individual maps where you're not too comfortable lurking and understanding like why can't I lurk? Why don't I lurk that much on this map? And like, is it because of the enemy positioning, that kind of stuff? I know I do understand it. It's more like I'm autopiloting, I think. Okay. Yeah, that could also be a part of it too. Just trying to keep yourself like grounded in every round. So the way that you can stop yourself autopiloting, just it works. Obviously, there's plenty of different ways, and it doesn't work for everyone. Like individual things don't work for everyone. But for me, the way I stop myself autopiloting is that at the start of every round, like start of every buy phase, I like purposely think about what the enemy team are doing and what I want to do to sort of stop them doing it, right? And usually it's I ask myself a lot of questions about it, and therefore I come to very different conclusions per round potentially, because of me trying to adapt to what the enemy team is doing. There's obviously it's a double-edged sword. I don't want to be doing it every round. There's some rounds where I don't want to change a single thing. But yeah, usually the questions I ask myself will lead to that. But sometimes I can over-adapt, so be careful of over-adapting as well. But yeah, I would. That's what that works for me. Making sure I keep myself like present of mind in the buy phase and not like looking at TikTok, looking at chat, all that kind of stuff. Right. I try not to do that if I can. Well, I do look at chat, to be fair, but I try not to be like too deep into the like answering questions in chat, that kind of stuff, if I'm really trying to lock in into autopiloting. So yeah, just try not to like. Obviously, it might not even be your problem or issue as well. Like it could be something completely different. So I don't know. Like I can't give like super detailed advice. It's just like what you can identify personally. It's mostly that I'm socializing with my friend. Yeah, okay. I mean, in that case, then maybe what you can do is you can try and socialize in a way where you're asking questions about the game specifically, about the game you're in. Like, I can't believe X, Y, Z played it this way this round. I'm gonna do this instead this round. Like, tell your teammate what you're gonna do. Your friend what you're gonna do, as well. Like, maybe just make it like that, and then you can actually kind of like half lock into the game potentially as well. But yeah, I don't know, something like that might work. Positioning wise here, I don't mind if we're gonna play like retakes. It looks like we are playing like 3 mid, 1 B. Makes sense. We're playing 1-3-1. That's fine. But yeah, the positioning is good as well. I would probably play up into the smoke at this point. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. I like this. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have jumped down there, to be fair, but it didn't look too bad because Phoenix was fighting. Yeah, I understand why. Yeah, because Phoenix was fighting. We were trying to trade. Yeah, it's fine. It's a bit risky considering it's like a what 4v something. Like at this point, my mental's like 2 dead. Look, I've glimpsed at this. 2 dead on the enemy team. I know my teams are alive because I didn't see anyone die here. So I'm like, okay, 2 alive. I don't need to take any dumb risks. So I understand you saw the Phoenix on your screen like start fighting, but I probably would have just chilled because essentially you just gave them back an additional 2 kills by trying to look for that trade when it could have just been a 4v2. But yeah, I understand why you did it. It was not bad thinking overall, but it was just a bit. I would play a bit more to the numbers here. They also saw the jet there on the site. Your setup was fine as well, by the way. That was fine. Wall in art as well, it's fine. Yeah. The wall can be a lot more efficient on sites. So I would actually maybe put it on sites in like more equal range, but obviously this is not an equal range, so maybe on pistol I would have put it site. Because it's also very unlikely they split on pistol. At least in solo queue. And then you just in a retakes him in a 2v4 second round. Unfortunate. Probably should have picked up your flash as soon as they were like going gate B. Like at this point I'd pick up flash because you want the cooldown. We missed out on the flash. Can't say it would have made a massive, maybe probably would make a decent difference there for the info in backhalls. Oh. ND. It happens. Yeah, I mean it happens. This is just aim. Yeah, aim punch there. Yeah, it's just aim. I think maybe it's I think it's just unlucky. I don't think there's much that went necessarily wrong here. The only thing I can pick out here, right, is like maybe you shot too early on your movement here. I'm gonna start for one trick almost. That's fine. I mean, it's the same thing as picking up cam, isn't it, really? Like here, right, the only thing here is like we shot a bit too fast in this motion. Like we're shooting this billboard. I understand she like surprised you, right? But at the same time, we want to be shooting when we're on the head, ideally. Anyway, we ended up like missing out on like a potential, like I'm pretty sure we would have killed her if we just waited to shoot. Tiny bit. Trying to think if there's any reason. I mean, yeah, it was just a good trade, like potential trade from the Sage. Yeah, I think we just need to be a bit slower, like be a bit more precise with when we start shooting in the gunfights, because it's happened a couple of times where we started shooting right before we actually aimed at them. So I think we need to make sure we're just being a bit more pristine with that. Making sure you focus on it in DMs. Honestly, you can focus on it in games as well, in ranked games. If it gets to a really big point and you're noticing a lot of the time you're doing it, like across a lot of games, then I would focus on it in ranked games specifically. Like maybe play Phoenix or something in that situation, and then just like try and purposefully make sure you're shooting when you're actually aiming at people. Wait, no way, we got a kill. Sorry, let me quickly. I was yapping. Let me look at the setup again. So we're in like a eco, right? Commit the wall on eco. Let me have a look at your money. Yeah, you can, right? Because 4K. Yeah. It'll be fun. I mean, you need 100 credits, right, for full armor. But I would buy light armor anyway next trend, right? Yeah, buy light armor next trend anyway. It's fine. Even if I could afford full armor, I'd be buying light, I think, next. And then I think as well, I think when we're on like lower buys with this wall, right? And with the vine. Oh, we actually bought the vine. Oh wait, shear is only 200. Why would I think it was 400? Am I stupid? The answer is yes. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't buy the razor vine. And if I did buy the razor vine, actually no, I would be fine buying the razor vine. I'd buy two actually. You can buy both. I just wouldn't commit the shear. Or I wouldn't buy any razor vines and I would commit the shear, I think is what I would do. One of those two. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one I would do, but I would do one of those two things. The reason why is because I can just not use my two razor vines, and then have like them for next round anyway. So at the very least, I could buy all my util and then not commit the shear, and then have them for next anyway. And if I do need them, I'll use them. And then if you want to commit the shear, you just don't buy the razor vines because then you want the shear for next round anyway, or you want to have armor like full armor for next round potentially, but. I think you're fine with committing the shear and buying two razor vines, but just don't commit the first two razor vines as well. So yeah, I think here we may have messed up our utility a bit. I also think as well, when we're in like lower buys, like when we're ecoing, I wouldn't be trying to split up my util that much, because realistically, right, one of the main things about your util obviously is that ideally we want to try and convert each one of our util, especially good with Vyse, because Vyse is one of these agents that genuinely has 3 basic abilities that can generate kills. So generally every ability use, we want to be trying to get a kill with it, right? And this is very true for Vyse especially. Less true for like some other agents specifically, but for the most part, we want to try and either get an assist or a kill with these stuff. Obviously more as well if possible would be great. So when we're in like an eco situation, I struggle to justify having like an info wall like this, or like a wall that I'm not going to realistically use as a way to get a kill directly. Because even though you might get the info which leads to a kill eventually, you need help to specifically get the kill when you're in like eco rounds like this, right? The classic is not going to beat the Vandal if you know where the Vandal is. Like it doesn't have the advantage. Still, obviously the Vandal doesn't know where you are, maybe, but like that doesn't directly constitute that you'll win that fight. Whereas the wall could seriously mess up someone in a way where they can't run away from you, and then you have a close range advantage versus the Vandal. That would be a more likely time that the Classic actually wins versus the Vandal, right? So I wouldn't be playing around. I wouldn't be giving my wall like the info wall. I'll be looking to play around it to try and get a kill off it directly, because I think that's better use of the money currently, and to help us equalize the actual economy deficit we're in, right? If you had a Vandal or a Phantom, it's fine to get that info, right? Because then you can engage them in a different way and still have like a near enough like a similar fight without thinking about like, hey, you're actually going to take the fight. That makes sense, right? If you had a Vandal or a Phantom, then you're just like, you can like afford for it to be info, and then use that info to get an advantageous fight because you're already at such a equal playing field with them because you have like similar economy. But if you have lower economy, you want to try and use as much of your economy as effectively as possible. I think that's like the simpler way to put it, because you know, I was waffling a bit. I made a practice, to be fair. I haven't done it in like almost a month, so I'm in a coaching session. So how to practice. Okay. I'm guessing that meant to be like through the wall. Ooh. I think honestly you can just fight here with the Classic. Your teammates are like all there. I would just fight with the Classic. And once again, I think it's the same problem. We're shooting before we're actually aimed at them. Yeah. I think you just need to clean up your motion there. Clean it up with when you actually shoot, like your click timing. Or like your spray timing, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. Because, yeah, we're just shooting during the movement, during the flick, when we don't really want to do that. And a lot of people do that, to be fair. But yeah, it's a very, very, very bad habit, I think, for a lot of people. Same sort of setup. To be fair, they only run into your setup once in pistol, so maybe it's fine. Yeah, the flash is actually quite good. I like the flash. I think we can afford to be a bit more aggressive though, because the thing that I'm noticing now on defense is that we're over defending, like over being defensive here a bit. And honestly, I've been recently playing the game a lot more again. And I've been in like Immortal 1 games. By the way, I'm Ascendant 1 currently, which is annoying me. I'm Ascendant 1 and I'm in Immortal, like lower Immortal games. And it's annoying me because when I'm on defense, a lot of people will say, just play defensive. We're defense. We don't need to be aggressive. And it frustrates me in the way that they are not really, like they're limiting themselves from the correct plays sometimes, because there's going to be correct plays where you are aggressive on defense. There's going to be correct plays where that makes sense. That's especially why I think a lot of people hate Fracture, is because they have that mindset, and then Fracture is like, you need to be aggressive on defense. So I think a lot of people have that mindset where you can't be aggressive on defense for some reason, and it's highly limiting. And I'm not saying you do have that, but what I am saying is, you know, for example, in Lotus, yeah, exactly. I think Fracture is the biggest example, yeah, but Lotus A, Lotus C, like those two areas you can be afford to be aggressive in, and it's actually quite good. Only go push C main with Sherry, yeah, exactly right. There are times where it makes sense to go aggressive on defense, and I think right here, I think we're being a bit over defensive, like at the very least, right? And this goes for like Cypher as well. Like I think a lot of people have like the the syndrome of the camera syndrome on Cypher, where you just sit on your cam the entire round and just spectate the game. I had that as well. And what's like, if you watch someone like Nats play, Nats does that sometimes, some rounds, where it makes a lot more sense to do it. But then he has other rounds where he uses cam early to get info, and then he's like sending it to somewhere else. He's either fast rotating, which is really good. It was something that Nats actually does as well a lot. And the other thing as well that he does is that sometimes he'll just be super aggressive, right? What is it? Are you doing like the camera spectating the round type thing? Not in Vyse though, yeah. Or are you being more aggressive on Cypher? Yeah, so on Vyse, I do understand why, because there's like, I guess there's less info, there's more setup, but for me, I would just like not pre-place the flash, and you can just use the flash on like this box early to get info, and then go take the orb over here, or something like that, right? And you'd be farming orbs faster, you would get info earlier, as well, that kind of stuff, so you get teammates rotating faster. Overall, it should improve the amount that you're, like the amount of that you're converting rounds overall, because you're just getting early info on them, you're generating pressure on them as well. And at the very, very least, I would just play over here for like the first bit of the round, or like against the barrier for like the first like 2-3 seconds of the round, because at that point you're going to hear if they make any dumb mistakes running in main and that kind of stuff, right? Happens a lot in ranked, and even if they don't make a mistake and they're just rushing, you'll hear that instantly, and you won't hear it over here, right? Because right now you're hearing at this max range, but if you just play here like first 5 seconds of the round, you're going to hear this like max range, and then you'll have like an extra 2 or 3 seconds. These players will have an extra 2 or 3 seconds to get over there, and that can mean a lot. So I'd recommend doing that kind of stuff than just playing like towards the back. That's what I'm doing with Cypher, but I feel Vyse is not effective at doing it. Yeah, I mean, Vyse is definitely a bit worse at doing that, because obviously the flash is a bit worse at like getting that kind of info, and also you don't have any smokes to like get through places or like get away from places, I guess, if you find yourself in a particularly sticky situation. And Vyse is very much about like being a bit of more of a bunker on site, with like the razor vines and the wall. So I understand why, but I would try and find a bit more of a balance than just autopiloting into like super defensive every single time in every round. But yeah, I understand what you mean. It is a lot harder on Vyse compared to Cypher. Let me see this. Oh. That's fine. Obviously, it's a bit messy, but at the same time, kill's a kill, and you also recovered quite well from the whiffs. Oh my god, that was interesting. Wow. Oh yeah. Okay. That was a bit crazy. That kill was illegal, to be honest, but it's fine. Kill was absolutely illegal. And then that one was just kind of lucky, but you'll take him. You were just like baiting the fade basically, and then just having to kill her, feels like. Yeah, we got the same one as well, the same setup. And it doesn't matter too much because, well, first of all, it's ranked, so people aren't really going to care. Like, people sometimes won't care too much about the same setup, and they'll still make the same mistakes going in. Yeah, I think, yeah, we can maybe afford to, like, do some sort of switch-ups, especially if they actually do find the setup. But, yeah, I've already talked about being defensively, that's fine. One thing I also did want to say as well, but I'll probably, yeah, but fun. I don't think I have to talk about it too much. But it's the way that Nats specifically plays, where something that he does, he will set up on a site. He mainly does this on Cypher, to be fair, and less on Fade. And if you, sorry, on Vyse. But if you do it on Vyse, you should make sure your wall is actually on site, because you kind of need like some sort of trip for this. But what he does a lot, you'll see him do it a lot on Ascent Cypher. If you ever see him play Ascent Cypher, he'll perma rotate at the start of the round. He'll set up on B and then he'll run it to A, instantly off of contact on A. Like, he does it a lot. And you can do that as well. It's actually pretty good. You watch that a lot. Okay, well that's helpful. But yeah, you'll see him do it a lot. That he'll run away from where he set up, and he doesn't even do this versus like KO or anything, which is like the way you would do it a lot of the time. But he just insta rotates, because the reason why he's doing that is the same reason why I want you to like play up, or I want you to go like aggressive sometimes. Is because that he's generating more impact by doing that, because he's going to be there as like a stack, and the percentage chance that they rotate away from him and then happens to be into his setup, So then he's going to get in for 1 hit and they can play a retake. Like the percentage chance of converting that round because he's going to bolster his attack. So bolster his defense on his other site, as well as not exactly give them an easy time on the other site because of his setup. It's like, or at least at the very least, he's not going to like sacrifice himself on site. Or I mean, he might not get a kill on site, I guess, as well, but he's not going to create any bad problems for his team because he has the setup on site. So he's actually going to just overall make the round easier to play for his team by giving them a +1 on the other side of the map and also not dying on the other side of the site. Obviously, he doesn't. Obviously, as I just mentioned, he doesn't get the kill with like his setup or anything, so it's not great, but it's still really good, especially in the rounds that he picks. He tends to be really good at picking those rounds, and I don't think I'm that good at picking the rounds, especially not compared to him. So yeah, you'd have to make sure that you watch him more to like kind of understand it, or do it more to understand it as well. Sometimes I feel bad because we need to retake because over-rotated. Yeah, that's the danger of it, right? But I think you have to bear in mind that it's like percentage chance, and there's no, like, if you're feeling bad about it, it's because you're getting like socially pressured out of the good choice, right? This happens with like hero rifles in solo queue. It happens with I personally have been someone to do this sometimes, where I've underestimated how good an agent is, and then just like not exactly bullied them out of it or anything, but I wouldn't even say it to them necessarily. But if I did say it to them, it would be the same thing where I'd be like, yeah, but maybe Clove isn't the best choice here. I would prefer to see Omen, that kind of stuff, right? But like statistically, Clove is better than Omen in ranked, even though I prefer Omen to Clove. So that kind of stuff, right? Where people are just, they have their own preconceptions and then about how good the conversion is of a round, and then if you know that it's going to be better because of something that you've done, and it doesn't happen to go that way, and it just happens to fall on the worst, like the loss instead of the win, even though you increase the conversion because of the choice you made, it's not like your fault because of that, right? It just so happened to be that way, and it's not something you should be pressured out of, by socially, right? Because as long as you're trying to make the correct plays, then you're blameless, right? As long as you are trying your best to make the correct plays, and you are making the correct plays, the percentage-wise to convert the round, then there's nothing that the teammates should be able to say to like convince you, convince you to not make those plays again. Essentially, the biggest thing with Valorant is to try and get the blameless gameplay, and to do that, you've got to make decisions that people will blame you for. I know that sounds crazy, but that is just how it is. 8 viewers, I'm good. Oh, I can't. Oh, I can. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if I explained that too well, so probably to ask questions about it. Because I definitely am still working through a lot of like the thought processes I have. Like all of this stuff that I'm talking about as a coach, subject to change with when I learn better or see better and that kind of stuff. Because a lot of this stuff is very similar to like a science, I guess. Is like there's going to be things that we know now that are going to be wrong, or know now that I'm going to learn better, that kind of stuff. It's all a learning process. Okay. Vyse ult. Probably don't Vyse ult. The smoke is actually quite good for you. I think it would definitely. Wait, where's your flash? Oh, your flash is where? There. Ooh, that's kind of unlucky because it might be covered by the smoke. Kind of unfortunate. Ooh. Flash of Phoenix, that's funny. It's fine, it happens. I think that the play is actually, I'm not sure if you even do stay heaven, like at this point, when you know it's clear here, with the smokes up. Do you actually go halls? Because you wear your Phoenixes? But I don't know. To be fair, it's likely they could just walk up on you. Yeah, never mind. It's not really that plausible. I think it's hindsight that I've just talked about there. I think that's hindsight. Looks more hindsighty to me. Pretty hindsighty to me. It's good. Oh, nice. That's real nice. That was real nice. Real nice. This is what, like, oh, this kill. This kill shows the exact opposite, like, that's what you're capable of. This kill. You didn't shoot until you're on the head, insta one tap. We love that. We love that. And that kill as well. I mean, every kill, really. You were, like, very controlled. Very controlled, took your time. Great. Actually great. Actually great. It's a bit spooky that you didn't have a smoke, to be honest, but it's fine. It's fine. Probably should ask for a smoke if you're going to try and make that play. But I understand that maybe it was more of an expectation. Yeah. Maybe a bit of an expectation, but that's okay. Ice has been stolen, unfortunately. You had to see it. I do think this Vyse wall has been a bit defaulted, and against better players, I think they take advantage of this wall. Because it's so far up as well. Like, they can just, like, proc it, run away. Yeah, you're just autopiloting. Yeah, I can see it. You're kind of just doing the same setup every time. And to be honest, I think people are more likely to autopilot after a good round as well. More likely to, because I think about the last round, like, damn, I really popped off last round and then didn't think about anything I did in the buy phase or for the next round, so. But yeah, obviously I've seen it in other rounds as well. Person does not know how to smoke this. This may be a bit too... okay. Yeah, so maybe it's a bit too fast here. I think you should have saved this for when your teammates are actually going to come and get onto site. The Fade also really trolls because it's 4v5 in their favour and they just like sacrifice themselves. Ooh. What even happened? Any stage you get there? She should just run out the... Just ran off the stairs. Oh no, she was back site. Like by the site. What the frick? Yeah, I think you should have waited until your teammates were closer to use this. I guess they are kind of close, to be fair. They also, I mean, they're on site planting. Yeah, it's fine actually. No, it's actually fine. Never mind. It could have been maybe a bit later overall, but I think it's a nitpick if anything. Like I don't feel like was that important. Yeah, he would lose this. That's fine. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the setups again because setups the same. I felt that I should have tapped instead. Tapped. Oh yeah, tap this. Yeah. To be honest, it's not too bad to hold here. I think the only thing is, right, is that I think the main thing, actually, the main problem with it is that whenever you can't shoot, you should look at the map. And you just saw a question mark here, I think, right? I'm not sure of the resolution. I think this is a question mark. Could be wrong. Let me see, actually, I can check. It's not a question mark. Oh, it is a question mark. It is, yeah, it is. Never mind. It is a question mark. So yeah, I think there you'll see the question mark. So you'll know that someone's actually there. So you can probably hear them. I just realised you can probably hear them.
One close. Smoking off me.
Yeah, you hear them there. Okay, so you hear them shoot. So you should know they're there. So I guess, yeah, in terms of like making the decision. So I thought what happened here is that you just thought that no one was able to see you or like get to you. So you could just stick for half. But I actually think maybe you just tried to stick even though there was someone next to you. So yeah, yeah, definitely the tap should have been the play. Because if you know that someone's that close, and you know that your teammates can't really help you, because they're like not putting themselves in very aggressive positions, then it makes sense for you to just tap and then play for yourself, because there's no one else that can play for you. Did Phoenix have wall? Maybe you can come for Phoenix wall. I'm not sure if he did. He did have wall. Yeah, you should have maybe also come for Phoenix wall. Like covering the bomb. Also could have helped, maybe. If you wanted to like try and like stick the bomb there. I understand that's like really hard decision making. Like you can ask for it and then him not have it, that's also fine. But at least you asked, you know? Asking is like makes yourself blameless. It puts the blame on the other player. Or not exactly the blame, but it puts like the decision onto the player. Which isn't always the best of choices, but you've asked you've asked for something, and if you didn't receive it, it's not necessarily your fault because you've asked for it. But it also means that sometimes you'll be more. Sometimes it's your fault though if you ask for something, don't get it, and then don't actually adapt to not having it. That can also be a point where it's your fault. Yeah. Nice shot. You're pretty good mechanically overall there. Too fast to crouch here, I think. I think movement is going to be big here. I think you need to be moving more in between, like in fights when shooting. At least in fights like this. I just think you can track as well. Maybe. At least from this point. I don't want you slicing up until this part. Like, it's when you have like these types of walls as well. Like when you have a wall like this where anyone can be like walking up on you. Like when they're aggressive on you. That's when it's good to track rather than slice. So you slice there and you like went past them. Is what it is. But yeah, I'll just try and be a bit more mobile in between shots as well there. Rather than crouching. Crouching is like the last resort. It's like like you don't want to be crouching that much. It's obviously fine in some situations to like mix up your head position, or to like you can like crouch, uncrouch, but that kind of stuff is like, if you can move, then there's no point in doing that. Like there's situations obviously where you can't move, like you're stuck behind tail rockets or like razor vines, or so you can't move, or you're in like a really precarious position. Like when you got the kills here, right? On this thing, I didn't expect you to move between shots because you can't, right? The only time you're going to move is when you're going towards them or away from them, and that's not really going to help you anyway in the fight. So you might as well just stay still and be a turret, right? That's the situation where like, I don't expect you to move, and then if it goes wrong, maybe we could talk about like the reasons why it goes wrong, but it went right in that situation, and we didn't really need to move that much. And if we did need to move, maybe we'd be opting into crouching and that kind of stuff to mix up head level, but. Yep. And this round, what happened this round? Retakes him. So the thing is like, this is also like, this is part of that like non-aggression trap as well, is that you're doing the same retake every time. Every time it's the same retake, and it's not good. Like the thing is like, if you think about it, right, if you do the same thing all the time, it doesn't work. It's like the definition of insanity, right? So at this point, like I would make myself a plan that if they go B, if I like failed the retake like 2 or 3 times and it wasn't close, I mean it has been close to be fair, and you have won a couple, but it hasn't been like, if it hasn't been close, or if like it's getting predictable that where I'm coming from is going to be this way, then I would try and make a plan that I'm like, this next round if they go B, I'm going to go aggressive A main and go to a flank, or I'm going to go through mid this time, or something like that, right? And it can depend on comp as well. But if you notice on their comp, they have no trips, no anti-flank. So it's like the perfect game for you to be aggressive as a sentinel. The perfect game. Because there's nothing they can do if they're not playing for map control to figure out where you are if you're being aggressive. And you don't even have to get kills being aggressive, by the way. You just have to be aggressive and take this space. And sometimes it's be enough to like hear them rotate. If you're standing here, you'll hear them rotate back through mid. Or even in situations where you potentially die, they're going to have to be aware that you've pushed. And then they might be having to like play differently in future rounds because of the pressure you've given to them in that round, if that makes sense. Like even if you're being aggressive right at the gate and they're meeting the aggression in A main, if you're aggressive here and then run back to your setup, then that is like showing them that you're aggressive, not afraid to fight in this A main section. They might even decide to use util in this A main section just to not take this fight anymore, or just to like make sure they can win that fight if it happens. So like by playing like more aggressive, you're giving them you're giving them a higher amount of like cost to the round where they have to sink more in to take more space because you're being aggressive in that space. Potentially, you actually see players like Leaf do this. He does it in ranked, not in ranked. He does it in pro play, where he'll like play aggressive as like Vyse. He does this on Vyse, where he plays aggressive, and then as soon as he gets like found out or something like that, he'll just run back to his setup, and then be like, "Okay, I've been aggressive. I've been caught. Come and fight me in my setup." That's what he'll do, and it's really, really, really annoying. To be honest, it's annoying to watch. You know, I can't imagine how it'd be annoying me to play against Leaf in those situations.
Two backside.
He does it on Chamber as well, but Chambers always do it. It's a really important thing on Chamber to like layer your util in a way, right? Where you like have your trip and then you can rendezvous behind the trip. So then you shoot someone, you go back to the rendezvous, and then they have to run into the trip to run to you. So then you're like protecting yourself with the trip, but it's basically what I call layering, and that's essentially what it is. But you don't have the TP as Chamber, right? You just run back. Obviously, like as well, you got to pick your rounds. You can't do it every round. This game though, it's really good to do it a lot of rounds, like most rounds, because you're just going to be giving pressure, and then if you're smart with it, you don't die. And it's just about trying to like figure out like what the enemy team want to do to like counter you, or if they actually want to counter you in general, or how far you can push the boundaries up to behind them to catch the rotations and that kind of stuff, or just to flank them in general. Because you haven't even left a site. Because your heat map on defense would literally be like a bunch of red over here, like some orange over here, right? Can I actually make a heat map? Probably not with Epic Pen. Your heat map is basically like this, where you basically have only populated like this section of the map on defense. This is it. This is all you've done in defense, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that if there's like, I don't think all the correct plays have existed in all these rounds in this section of like in this like small amount of heat on the map, right? Have the right plays all occurred in this position? I'd be skeptical to think that they did, especially with their team, as I've already mentioned, right? I can imagine there'd be plenty of good plays, winning plays, or the correct play, like straight up, that would exist somewhere over here somewhere, or in this midsection somewhere. So just bear that in mind. That, you know, don't lock yourself to like this. You've already said you were auto-piloting, so should I stick to playing Cypher? I feel like I make it more difficult myself to learn 2 different agents on one map. Yeah, I would say I would try to stick to 1 agent per map. It's not always possible because of like insta-lockers and things. Obviously, it's less of a problem for like sentinels, non-duelists, so less of a problem. But yeah, I would try and stick to 1 agent if you can, per map. Obviously, 1 agent overall is like a bit too much of eggs on one basket, but because I've been playing Cypher on every map. I mean, if you want to mix things up, just play Vyse. Yeah, say if you're playing Cypher on every map, play Vyse on this map. Like, get like I think it's more beneficial for new players, not new players, but like players in general, to learn as much as they can about every single agent in the game. Like for instance, like if I had like I've coached some teams in the past. I didn't get to this point, but if I did get to a point where I wanted my teammates, individual players, to learn a lot more about the game on such a like intimate level, then I would just make sure that my teammate, like all the people in the team, are playing different roles than what they play in the game. And I wouldn't recommend that to solo queue players to play different roles. I mean, it's ideal that you do know what what the agents do across roles anyway. But you don't need to have like that intimate of an experience with them. So what I would say is just try and play different agents across the role, like as much as you can, without sacrificing like your efficiency or like proficiency with one of the agents that you already play. I actually wouldn't play KJ and Icebox. I think what are people playing now? I think people don't play KJ and Icebox until I know they do. Never mind. Ignore me. I'm thinking about Haven. Haven is the map where KJ used to get played a decent amount, and now she gets played 0. But yeah, KJ on Icebox is fine. If you're only playing Sentinels, yeah, that's fine. I'm trying to think if there's another Sentinel on Icebox. You could play Sage, but it's not really the same. So, but yeah.
Hard left.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just wouldn't mix up things too much if you don't want to mix them up too much. Like, play Icebox KJ if you want to play Icebox KJ. Otherwise, play Vyse, maybe. Although I don't think Vyse is very good on Icebox, but yeah, Cypher and Icebox is a bit troll. I would, if you want to play one of them, you definitely would play Vyse. But I also don't think Vyse is particularly great on there anyway. I think, if anything, I think it's just that Killjoy is too good on Icebox specifically. Because of the turret is good on the way the map is laid out, the alarm bot's fine, and the mollies are really good, right? Having 2 mollies is the joint most in the game. 2 mollies are literally the joint most in the game with Teo now, also having 2 mollies. So I would, yeah, like Killjoy is just really good for that map with the way it's played. So yeah, and obviously the ult is really good. So yeah, Killjoy makes the most sense to play. If you really don't want to play Killjoy, you can play Vyse, but I would just recommend playing Killjoy. So like, I think that's also just a thing on attack as well. I think overall, the main thing with the entire of your gameplay is we're not limiting ourselves to very small portions of the map when we don't need to, right? And it's not necessarily, as I've mentioned, it's not necessarily a bad thing to limit yourself to portions of the map. It's just that I can't imagine that you're making the right choices if you're limiting yourself to those positions on the map, if that makes sense, right? So I imagine that there's more better choices that could be made as long like that occur on other parts of the map that you're currently on. So it's all about making those right choices and not being less afraid, or like not afraid, or more confident maybe to make those decisions that even though people might think is like troll, it's better to make that decision, learn from that decision, and then make the right play or better play next time that maybe slightly tweaks the decision you made, or like completely removes it and you might try something different. It's better to make those mistakes and do better next game than to be scared of making decisions when you scared of making decisions and make the wrong play internally. Something I feel when I'm playing is that I have the fear of failure. Like when I die, when I'm aggressive, I get too passive afterwards. Yeah, I think a lot of people have that problem. And what I say to that is, you got to think about ranked as a learning process, or like as a learning tool, right? Because if you watch, for instance, if you watch pro players talk about ranked, it's their practice tool. It's where they go to warm up because they have bigger stakes games. Because we are like normal players that don't play pro games, right? We don't have higher stakes games. These are our highest stakes games possible for us to see. So we're going to be more defensive about RRR because it's the reward of winning and playing, right? So I would try and dissociate RR being the reward and make learning and being a better player the reward of playing ranked. So that way you'll see it as every game is a learning experience. I can go into that game, I can make mistakes, and I'll learn from those mistakes for the next game. And if I become a better player from making those mistakes and learning from them, then I'm going to be a better player, and therefore my RR is going to go up because I'll be a better player. So I think a lot of people tie themselves to RR, and RR is a indicator that you're a good player. RR is not the fact that you're a good player, right? Having high RR is not the fact, does not make you a good player. Being a good player is like, RR is like the display of you being a good player, not the other way around. So don't be too scared about losing RR. Like, if you derank a ton because you made a bunch of mistakes and you learn from those mistakes, you'll do something that is very common in ranked games for a lot of players, especially successful players, where what they'll do is they'll kind of go on a curve. I was about to like do it with my fingers, but I've literally got a pen. Where they'll do something like this, right? They'll improve, and then they'll hit maybe a plateau. They'll get worse because they want to try and fix that plateau, and they'll go down to a bit here, and then they'll get better again because they learn from those mistakes. And then they'll plateau again, they'll learn from the mistakes, and then they'll go up again. This is what happens to good players when they think about the game in a way think about ranked in a way that's efficient and good, right? Because they are thinking that, and they'll make mistakes. Those mistakes will put them down, and then they'll go back up again. A lot of people actually do fluctuate as well when they reach their wall, right? When you reach a wall in a game, you actually don't just like stop dead. You're like doing this. You like do this, right? And that's basically this without the learning, right? This is without learning. This is with learning. That's essentially what that is. And good players do this. Bad players do this. When the wall is, this is the wall here. They learn that they go down instead, and then they go up. That's what happens. So hopefully that was helpful. Overall, I do have Valorant open, but turns out I don't think I actually need it too much. So to like summarize, I think one of the main things is the fear of failure type stuff. I went from Immo 2 to Ascendant 1 in under a month. Don't worry, I'm with you. I'm Ascendant 1 right now, and I used to be Immortal 2 or 3. Because I didn't play, to be fair. So it is what it is. And I have to get back there, but yeah, I do feel it as well. And it can be frustrating as well, especially when I lose in these situations, because I know I should be better. When I lose, make mistakes, it can be a bit more of like a mental warfare with myself. But realistically, like, I know when I make a mistake, I know that I'm thinking about that mistake and that I won't make it again. So then the next game that I like try and make a play that's similar, then I'll like be able to like make the right decision because I already made the mistake. You know what I mean? And obviously that can be like big mistake, it can be small mistakes. And sometimes you might run into several small mistakes. Just try not to be like too down on yourself because you made those several like small mistakes. Because sometimes it can like eat away at you because you've made like so many different mistakes in the same play, essentially, like the same situation. But just try to like think about it very positively if possible. Is what I can say. But yeah, there's probably other better advice for that type of stuff. But I don't know what it is. So yeah, at least not off the top of my head anyway. I could probably research it and find it. And I probably did. To be fair, I did do a video as well about not keeping calm. What was it? It was I can't remember what I called it. It's been like over a year now, I think, since I made that video. I do definitely. I know what the thumbnail looks like. Let me see. It's actually a very, very useful video for the stuff we just talked about. Let's see if I can remember it. I don't think I had the words calm in it. I didn't. I also typed clam instead of calm, so that probably didn't help. Is it aim? No, I had aim in it, right? No, I didn't have aim. Is it RR or ranked? Climb? Probably climb. No, okay, I don't know what I called it. I'll definitely do a video there. I could recognize them now, so I'll quickly have a look. Is there any methods I can use to get better quickly, like a routine? Well, yeah, I would say routines are like one of the best ways you can improve at something. Right? If you do something consistently to improve, like with the aim of improving at it, you're usually going to be better. In terms of like routine, like to get better at like specifically what? To get better at treating RR as like an improvement like place instead of a ranked place, I guess. Yeah, okay, it's here. It's time to stop panicking, Valorant. It's this one. It's this one. I'll put the link in the YouTube chat as well. But I'll put it in Twitch as well. The thing, yeah. So hang on. Well, train of thought. The routine for it, yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I'll think about it in a second. The routine for where am I train of thought? I literally just had it and then I sent the link. I'm so stupid. Yeah. So it's when in ranked, I think a lot of the problems with this type of stuff, like confidence or like all this kind of stuff, it usually stems from focusing on your teammates too much, or like focusing on what your teammates will say to you, or like what your teammates are doing in general. So when you die, don't even bother thinking about what your teammates are doing. Don't try and analyze their plays. Don't try and do anything. Just sit there and like think about what you want to do for the next round, what you think you did wrong. You can tab out, have a notepad open, just like think about what you did wrong or something. Well, I wouldn't tab out actually, but just try and do something that would like take your mind off what your teammates are doing. If that is like closing your eyes and thinking about what you did, that kind of stuff. I wouldn't think about it too hard either. Like I wouldn't go into the buy phase still thinking about last round. As soon as buy phase starts, think about the current round, think about the current buy phase, think about the next round. I feel when I VOD with you, I can't find the problems. Open RuneScape when you die. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. And it feels like I'm not improving. Yeah, that's obviously like that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people have, is that they struggle to identify their own mistakes. And a lot of it is just try and be open to ask yourself a lot of questions about the situation. And if you don't know the answer, try and figure out ways that you can find it. So try and find pros that like are in the similar situation. Try and think critically about every single little thing. If you don't know the answer to something, try and break down the question even further, right? Instead of being like, what mistake did I make in this play? Ask yourself, why did I move that specific way? Why did I aim that specific place? Why did I go to this specific position? Why did I use this specific piece of util? Like, why did I fight this specific person? Like that kind of stuff. Try and like break it down super fine. So then you're like answering all of those individual questions, and it can lead to like some disparities where like, oh, I actually don't know why I fought this person. I actually don't know why I threw this piece of util. I actually don't know why I moved in this position. When all the rest maybe seem kind of justifiable, that one, actually, wait, maybe I shouldn't have thrown that piece of util, and then it can link into more like situations where maybe you made those mistakes, or like maybe it's going to link into more of like the overarching mistake that you end up making, because I threw that piece of util, I actually end up making a movement mistake in 2 seconds later because I threw that piece of util. It made me think that I could fight the person, etc. Like that kind of stuff, right? Obviously that's a hypothetical, but like you just want to keep asking yourself as many questions as possible about the situation you're in. And obviously, well, like I said, if you don't know the answer to those questions, try and find sources where you can find the answer to those questions as well. If you've already broken it up, super fine. For example, I don't know, when I know my over rotate is good or no, and I think it's good and it's actually bad, then I continue to do the wrong thing. So the thing is, that's very broad, right? Like, if I think about it like that, like, how is it bad to over rotate in the situation that you did? Because so the weaknesses of over rotating is that they're going to get a free sight very easily, and then you're in like retake sim without actually having an advantage. So then you basically now attackers with like the disadvantage in the round, right? Because they have the bomb planted, that kind of stuff. So it might be that you're giving up too much for free, and that you're not getting info fast enough. So maybe you didn't place your cam far enough forward, or that kind of stuff. But like that's the type of like quite like that's very general as well, because obviously I don't know the specific situation. Yeah. So yeah, just trying to like break up like every single small fine piece of like all the util you threw, where you put your util, all that kind of stuff, right? Where you ran to, where you rotated to, how you over rotated, when you over rotated, why did you over rotate in that situation, that kind of stuff. Like if you want to do the over rotating like Nats does on Ascent, right, with the Cypher B2A, he does it in rounds that he expects them to be A. For sure, right? He obviously expects them to be A, and also he even hears them A. That's also a very, very important thing about when he does the over rotation, is that he knows for a fact there's information A, that someone has said there's steps there, whatever, right? And even if he gets it wrong, there's still situations back from that. It's fine that you put yourself at the disadvantage because you hit the low percentage, because that's just part of the game. It's part of the game to lose low percentage, like to lose high percentage situations. The point is that he made the good play in that situation. He made what he thought was the correct play in that situation. Like statistically, he thought that he gave his team the best chance of winning that round. And even if it ends up being wrong, it was wrong in that round, whatever. If maybe you win the low percentage chance too, you know, it just is what it is. Sometimes you make mistakes. It is what it is. And Nats is very good. And Nats is very, very, very smart player as well with like his mental. You'll hear him talk about, if you hear any behind the scenes stuff with Nats, you'll know for a fact that he is very smart about how he talks about his mental in this game. It's just hard for me to find what bad and what's right. Yeah, but like I said, it's just like trying to ask yourself as many questions as possible about every situation that you feel like you messed up in. Like in these rounds, right? I feel like a lot of the mistakes you made in this round, in this game, sorry, was the autopiloting, right? Because as well, they were going to be a lot. So maybe there could have been a round where you decided to, like I've already mentioned, right? You can flank, but you can also set up on B, right? Just maybe find a round that you can set up on B, and you may be wrong. That's fine, but at least you tried to adapt to the situation instead of autopiloting. Because right here, like the big, like these types of questions I can ask, yeah, that I've already mentioned about making sure you use more of the space effectively instead of just using this part of the map. Hi, coach. Can you explain all the Valo drama, please? Okay. I can do very soon. Okay, I think, to be fair, this is like the end of the VOD review. If there's any more questions, then feel free to ask me anytime on Discord, DM. Yeah, DM me. If you want to, on Discord as well, like in general. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of the coaching session. How long are we in? Hour 20. But yeah, if you have any questions, DM me. Ask them on Discord. That goes for anyone as well that have any questions about this VOD review, as well, or any VOD review really, or just Valorant in general. So yeah, goodbye. This is goodbye for YouTube as well. I'm gonna be still streaming on Twitch. So Users rank equals coaches rank. Okay, this guy. Okay, but yeah, feel free to talk to me. Whatever. And talk about these things and ask about these things. Okay, this guy. Okay, bye YouTube. I'll be back next week hopefully.